When this happens to you, you start over again. And if you don't believe me, when you go from middle school to high school, you're at the bottom. When you go from senior high school, you're at the bottom again of the adult pyramid. And then, guess what? When you retire, you're at the bottom of retirement age. And there's someone above you. So don't think that your life ends when you graduate from high school. Now, I must say this. You'll go from graduating and you'll think to yourself, well, what am I going to do? Because you've been brainwashed for 4 or 5 years to only go to college. And that's the only way to do anything. And I can tell you without without any hesitation whatsoever, it's not necessary. Let me tell you right now, people going to college, they're putting more and more supply into the market, so the demand is going to decrease. Therefore, the price of overall wages will decrease. That's just how it works. The more people you have in the market, the more they can suppress the wages because you have more people competing for the same job. Just so you're aware of that, you will go from asking for a hall pass to know what you're supposed to do with your life at 17 or 18 years old. What I'd recommend doing is, when you graduate from high school, if you want to go to college, try to volunteer or intern somewhere to make sure that is whatever it is you're fixing to spend, 50 to who knows, however, thousands of dollars, taking loans out, that you actually want to do that. Because if you don't, you need to do 4 years and you look up and you think, wow, I have a piece of paper, just like everyone else in the United States, pretty much. Instead of you could have went and did a trade, and in 10 months, 12 months, you could have had a job and had little to no debt. And most times, sometimes, in trade schools, if you get to be a union worker, I don't know much about it, but I do know sometimes they'll either help you or even pay for it if you work for the union after you're done with your trade school. And as far as if you look at the numbers, most people in the trades are retiring, and they're retiring fast. So there's a lot of openings for that. And when that person in 4 years fucks off in college, it doesn't do what they're supposed to do, and they come out with thousands and thousands of dollars, and they rack up so much credit, and they think they're living the high life, or you have someone who is a plumber, someone who's an HVAC technician, electrician, so on and so forth. They spent that 4 years working. By then they're a journeyman, so they're probably making more money than the person coming right out of college. And because the market is flooded with people without basically any experience, so you're supposed to do all this college work and intern at the same time and survive, and then you're supposed to be able to go find a job. That's really hard, with the exception of really 3 things: law degrees, engineering, or healthcare. Anything else is pretty much hard to get into, as far as you're competing with basically everyone else that just left college. Whereas, like I said, trades, there's a lot less people going to them. So you have a lot less competition, so it's easier to get into. And let me say this. They lowered standards to get into colleges. They have. When I was in 2012, I got in on probation, okay, into college. There's no way I belonged in a college based on my grades. And that will lead you to something else. The people that you worship in high school that you think are cool, they'll be the ones serving you at Subway, the gas station, the rest of their life, because that's where their life stops. Because they don't want to do anything. Their life stops there. And that's the glory days for them instead of continuing on. Matter of fact, my life has gotten better as I've aged. And I must say, I know it sounds very hypocritical. I have a master's degree. But at the same time, you have to think to yourself, if I had to redo it all over again, the easier road would have been to trade. And it would have saved me so much time. And by now, what is it, 10 years later, 8 years later, I would have already pretty much been close, if not damn near close, to being a master in whatever trade that I decided to do. And that's something I didn't even realize. When I was 18 years old, working inside of a gym, I had a guy that was a plumber who asked me, hey, why don't you come work with me? And I never took him up on the offer. What a stupid idea that was. What a dumb, stupid idea. Because, you know what? If you get so highly educated like I am, and you're still having a hard time making it as far as on the outside in your career, you can't just go get a bullshit job. Like, you know, you can't just go get a starter job as a part-time job. They will not hire you because you have too much education. You have more education than the boss and the boss's boss, and sometimes even the owner of the franchise. So it's really hard for them to hire you when you have more education than they do. And if I could have done it again, you know, if I would have had that in between the summer, you know, of that last year of college, if I would have got a trade, I could, I mean, even now, if I would have decided to pursue a college education, I would at least have something to fall back on, and I would be more aged. So I would at least kind of know more or less what I wanted to do. Even when I was an undergrad, I didn't know what I really wanted to do. And then grad school was easy. I love analytics. I love things like that. It really makes me like happy. Coding, I mean, I love that stuff. It's great. I didn't find that out until I was 24 or 25 years old. So 6 years after high school. Imagine if I had invested all of that time into an actual career, like, let's say, a trade, as I mentioned before. I would be a journeyman on my way to being a master in that trade. And that's something nobody can ever take away from me. And it's always going to be there. And that's something that I really wish I would have known. I mean, when I was a second or third year in college, like I said before, I was an avid, which if any of you know, avid, it's like a cult. You have to learn things a certain way. You have to do this. You have to do that. Okay, as far as honors, AP, all this other crap. Every person I saw that took AP classes and honors classes burned out within the first 2 years of college because they never had a life. And mommy and daddy were telling them what to do. They had no drive to continue. They'd never had a life. And then they go off to college and they don't even know who they are. And they have no one telling them, hey, you need to go to class. Hey, you need to get this homework done. Hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do that. They just have wide open field of whatever they want to do. And they just don't know how to handle it. And they drink themselves, a part of themselves, or they just collapse as far as they just don't want to do it anymore because they never had a life. And then take out all these loans, and then they're at the then it will come. They'll come knocking for those loans, and you're gonna have to pay them back. So just keep that in mind. I've seen that so many times. Like I said, I got in college under probation because I took the regular classes. I took the normal classes. I was a kid when I was in high school. Like I didn't do any kind of college prep or any of that stuff really besides my 9th grade. And I realized it was a scam. You know, and then I realized it was a scam totally from anything else that possibly could have happened. And I would strongly suggest if you're an AP and honors and all this stuff, go for it. You know, if that's what you want to do. But I'm telling you right now, from my own personal experience, with my own 4 eyes that I've seen, all 4 of these, it's not worth it. Yeah, you can get 1 or 2 credits knocked out. What's stopping you from studying a book and clipping it? What's stopping you? Nothing. If you can clip it, why would you take a class in high school? Just out of curiosity. And that's going to be on your GPA. That's going to be your GPA going into college. So if it's terrible, which a lot of people fail AP exams and fail honors classes because they're hard and you have to live a teenage life, what are you supposed to do with that? Whereas you could just start off fresh like I did because, like I said, I entered under probation. My ACT scores, all of it. You know what? I have a master's degree now, you know, and I have a pretty good career as far as what I have right now. I just started it, and I'm 26 years old, 8 years later. Whereas, like I said, if I was a trade, I could be a journeyman by now on my way to a master. Keep that in mind. You will start from the bottom again and again and again. And instead of investing in all this school, especially if you don't know what to do, I would tell my students this when I was an avid tutor. If you do not know what you want to do, go out, learn a trade, grow up, get some maturity, then go back to school once you figure out what you want to do with it. Because if not, you're literally wasting your life and wasting your time, because there are so many people now that when they leave college, they had the same job as when they started, or they just stay there and they're a manager. The whole purpose of going to college is to have a career. In theory, that's what they sell you. But many people leave college and, like I said, they have the same exact job that they had before. Or they get jobs that they didn't even need a degree for. Tell me if that makes any sense to you guys whatsoever. Whereas, as I mentioned before, if you were in a trade before and then you decided to go to college, guess what? You would already have money. You would have a lifestyle. And people that have bachelor's and master's degrees shit on people that have trades. And you know what? Those people that you make fun of that are C students and B students, they're the ones that are going to be owning the businesses and the companies, and all the smart people that go to college, they're going to be working for those people. And all the losers, they're going to be working bottom level jobs. That's just the way that it is. And if you don't know this, open your eyes. It's all around you. Think about it for a second. And that is my recommendation. If you don't know what you want to do, go get a trade. If you don't want to do that, then I guess be a kid for like a summer, a year, take a travel, whatever. And then go to college, I suppose. But I would strongly recommend go to a trade school, get a trade if you don't know what to do. You will literally go from asking for a hall pass to knowing what you're supposed to do with your life. And do not go to college without having a plan. Don't do some bullshit associate's degree where every other person in the world has it on their wall with a paper that says associate's degree. That's how much they're worth in the United States, and a bachelor's degree as well. I mean, so many people have them. I mean, and like I said, they're working the same exact job as they had when they got out of college, that they are when they were in college. That's not the goal. The goal is to have a career and move on. So I strongly recommend, if you are graduating from high school, please take this advice and run with it. And if you guys have any questions below, please leave them down in the comments. Y'all have a nice day.